Hello and welcome to Warm Hugs with Suzanne. I'm Suzanne Mann, and thank you for taking the time to spend with me today. I have a very interesting guest today, and it's promising to be a juicy conversation. I have Sydney Scott. She is a author of 12 contemporary romance novels, with another five coming out this year. And I can't wait to get into some juicy conversation. Hi, Sydney.
Hi, Suzanne. Thank you so much for having me. I am also very excited to get into some juicy conversations. I do really enjoy talking. Well, I always enjoy talking about writing, but I also enjoy talking about romance and sort of how the two tie together for the larger social implications and things like that. It's so interesting. So I'm very excited.
And I find it especially interesting because here you are writing these romance novels that get a bit racy, which I actually
Yeah.
love. But Sydney has just finished telling me that she's really actually quite quiet.
I am. Although when I talk about writing or romance or e- anything I'm excited about, I can get very loud and animated. So um, maybe it's just finding those topics that really get me going.
Well, it's today's episode is romance and writing, so we are exactly on point with what interests you.
Yes.
And before we get into all of it, though, how are you checking in today?
I'm good, very busy. I just started at a new job at an elementary school, which is a switch for me. I used to teach high school,
Yeah.
so everything is just so much smaller. Like I'm in a kindergarten classroom to begin the year and the chairs are they're precious. They're just so tiny. And of course that makes me think of when my girls were little. I'm just like, oh, everything's so cute in elementary
Yeah.
school. So I'm excited about that. But yes, very, very busy.
Yeah. Well, this is one of my things that I wanted to ask you straight away. How on earth do you balance writing that many books with working as well and being a mum?
It's hard. For a while I was writing full time.
Yeah.
But I've always had these stories in my head that I have insomnia. So I would sort of play them in my mind as a way to help me relax and go to bed. And one day I was like, what if I wrote one of these down?
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
And that just started it. And I think having all these books in my head for so long made it easier for me to get them out quickly. And there was one of my books, my girls were on winter break and they said, we just want to be, they were going through an independent streak. They're like, we want to be in charge of ourselves all day long. And you just do what you want, Mom. We're in charge. I was like, okay. And so I wrote a book that week
Oh,
because I'd had this idea in my head for so long. I'm like, just gonna plug away. And of course, it's a first draft, so it's not it's rough,
yeah.
but I got it out. That's the important part is just getting it on the paper or getting it out of my head.
Yeah.
Once I'm once I'm there, I'm good and can edit and go back and redo and all that good stuff. But you gotta pull it out, get it on the page.
I wanted to say, first of all, that I thought that some of my male listeners might be a bit like, oh, they're going to be talking about romance. This is just for the women. Stop, I say to you. Stop. Because there's part of me that's like, I feel like men should be reading these books.
100% agree with you. I wish more men read romance. And
Yes.
I'm sure a lot of women feel that way. Like, men, listen to the women. Listen to the women.
This is it. Like for all of those men who think, I just, I don't understand. What on earth are they even thinking? How am I supposed to like navigate this whole romance thing. This is how you do it. You read
Yes.
these books and try to understand. This is what women are doing. Women are trying to understand how the men are thinking. So
Hmm.
shouldn't you be doing it back again as well? But how, okay, how do you figure out what men are thinking? Because all of your books are like from, well, all the ones that I've read. So I've read your Sunset Cove series,
Hmm.
your three books,
Yes.
and like they're all from a female perspective, one chapter, and then the male perspective, the next chapter. How do
Yes.
you get that insight into men?
Well, part of it, I've been asked that before, and part of my answer is, well, I live in a patriarchy. It's a man's world. Men are loud and offer their perspective constantly. So I can't not know a man's perspective in a lot of ways. Um, but I think, at least in my romance novels, I take what I've experienced, like from myself, being in former relationships or having been married, uh, brothers, friends that are men. I kind of absorb all that and infuse it into a character. Because at the end of the day, yes, men and women are different, and there are so many nuances in both of our experiences through life that I'm sure I miss out on with both. But especially with romance, the end goal is always for them to be a better person than they were at the beginning of the book.
Hmm.
And I don't know that that really matters if it's a man or a woman. And I know later on we'll talk about expectations and things like that. Um, so, I think in all romance, at least for mine, they do take place in a bit of an ideal world. Like ideally, people would communicate openly and share their feelings. Uh, but
Yeah. Well, see, this is the thing. And I mean, obviously, because in your stories, they do go through those phases where they're not communicating. And as a reader, you're sort of like, God, you idiot, why aren't you just saying it?
yes, yes.
But okay, do any of these men really exist that you write? Because, okay, so I've read these three books,
Yes.
and two of them are mainly about the sisters
Hmm.
finding their love matches. And the last one is about the brother. And I was sitting here thinking, which of the males do I like best? And I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure. But I must admit, okay, the last novel, which is from Henry's, the brother's perspective, more like
Hmm.
there was part of me that was like, there is no way a guy like this exists.
I will say, Henry is probably the most unrealistic man I've written, but I will give a shout out to my Uncle Brian,
Yeah.
who is actually from New Zealand.
Ah.
So maybe this is part of it. He's not American. He cooks. He loves to cook. He loves to bake. He loves to clean. My aunt will, teach piano, and he'll be like, "What do you want for dinner tonight, love?" And he'll make it. So they exist. I've witnessed it,
Yeah.
but I will admit that they're probably rare.
He was just, this is it. But, oh, that is really cool. So yeah, you're seeing it in these other people in your life. I do love that because yeah, Henry is just he's so doting and loving. There was a little part of me that at one point I was like, would I think if this person, if he was really in my life, would I think he was a stalker?
He does kind of, yeah, I guess I'm like, yeah, I guess Brett Henry does have a bit of like red flag energy in that way. And that you're like,
Well,
what's
but
the, you're so attentive.
this
Like
is
space.
it. This is it. But I think what it made me think as well, and it's this whole thing of life where, we're so often wishing for things. I wish I had, I don't know. When you're single, oh,
Hmm.
I wish I had a guy who wrote me poetry and sang me songs and just wanted to spend all of his time with me. And sometimes then I think, oh my gosh, if that was really the case, like, would you be a bit like, hmm?
Um, I do think that because I wrote these books over 2 years ago now.
Yeah.
Um, and I can see going back and editing them, what point I was at in my own life, in my own marriage, and
Ah,
how that influenced um, certain stories.
yeah.
And so I think if I were to write a sequel for Henry and Jenna, they would probably have to deal with some possible like codependency issues.
Yeah.
So like who knows? Um, that's why we don't write those sequels because like
Hmm.
happily ever after and
Yeah, yeah. But in saying that, like I totally fell in love with Henry though.
yeah, no, that's what I wanted because he is that like cinnamon roll, like just gooey soft. Oh, he's so
Mm,
sweet. He's so sweet.
yeah. But see, then I also loved, now I call him Louis. Is that how you say?
Yes,
Yes, because he's
Louis.
French. I call him Louis.
Hmm.
And I did love how he would kiss Haley. Have I got the
Hmm.
right? The sister. How he'd kiss Haley's hand.
Yes.
That's
I
like,
think I think that yeah, small things like that, small
mm,
gestures.
yeah.
We like I know a lot of romances go into like the big romantic gestures, and those are fun. But I liked planting the little day-to-day things that showed like, no, he's into this girl.
Yeah.
He's romancing her. And she's like, okay, take this away.
So, so what as a man then, from what we've just said then now, for those men who are listening, would they be like, okay, so they've just said, read these books because this is what women want, but then they've said that some of it's a bit stalkerish.
Hmm.
Women just give mixed signals, don't we? I feel like half the time we don't even know what we want.
I think that is a huge part of it.
Mm,
Um, what people need to take away from any romance book, I think. And a lot of readers hate miscommunication in romance, but
mm,
that is the number one problem we have as couples, as humans, just not talking.
yeah.
And so at the end of the day, when you're talking about romance, it's know what you want and say it
Mm,
and ask for it and do the brave thing by saying this isn't what I want anymore, or this is what I want and I'm not getting it from you. Do you think you can give it to me? And if you
mm.
can't, let's let's move on. And maybe it's because I'm older now that I'm just like, why are we wasting time? Let's just call out what we're feeling and thinking, like as long as it's not hurting anybody. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw that out there. Um, because free speech is a thing to an extent.
Yeah.
But just, yeah, just be open with ourselves. And I don't know, I think we'd get where we want to be a lot faster.
Mm,
Or at the very least, we would know that maybe what I want is unrealistic. Maybe I should re-examine what I want
yes.
if I'm not getting it. And,
Yes.
you know, what else could fill that need for me if
Yeah.
it's not another person? So just, yeah, a lot of that.
Yeah. There's a lot of in in depth, well, personally, I think there's a lot of inner work that needs to be done first
Yes.
because there is, I mean, I have a friend, a male friend who is, and one of the reasons I bring this up as well is because Sydney is currently on the dating apps, I know as well, or at least
Ah,
one. She,
a
so
horror.
this is it. And but it's so he, like he was saying, he had one woman who was like, it was Sunday, Sunday afternoon or whatever. And she says, and I mean, he's well, not older, but, sort of like our age sort of guy. He has kids who have grown up and has a house, has a job. And it's a Sunday afternoon. And this woman texts him and says, what are you doing? What have you been doing today? And he's like, oh, well, I had breakfast with my daughter. I mowed the lawn, just relaxing. And one of the one of the comments that he then got back from her
Mhm.
was something like, well, I really want someone with a bit more like action and adventure in their life. And, and he was like, what? Like he sort of
Like
went,
Indy, she looking for Indiana Jones
this
or
is it. It was so funny because he was like, well, does she want someone who's like skydiving every weekend? Like, like, what are you expecting? Because
yeah,
what
I
and my comment to him was, you know what? I don't think she really knows what she wants because if your person was like skydiving every weekend, I don't know if you'd want that. Like someone my age, I actually want to be sitting and relaxing on a Sunday afternoon.
honestly like yeah, having breakfast, getting something done and then reading, I'm like, oh, ideal Sunday. Sign me up. Sign me up for that. Skydiving, no, not for me. For other people, great. For me, no, thank you.
This is it. This is it. Well, and then there's also that whole thing where I said, well, she's not the woman for you. But
Yeah,
it can be hard, isn't it? It's hard having all of these. Oh, but she's not the woman and she's not the woman. I think that I know from his point of view, you start to feel like you're not enough.
you do. Uh, and I think that like part of knowing what you want kind of pairs well with, like you said, the inner work of knowing who you are.
Mm.
And like, this is who I am. I am someone who, uh, like, I've since paused my dating app profile, but one thing that I wrote on there was, I want someone who wants to read next to me on the couch and we like tangle our legs together. And that's just like we're together, but we're doing our own thing. It's totally relaxed. That's all I want. And so I think if people put on there, like, that's who I am, I'm quiet, I like quiet activities, I want someone else who's into that.
Hmm.
Just put that out there, and hopefully we get people coming back to us who want the same thing. But a huge part of it, like you said, is other people knowing what they want to.
Yeah.
Because people will respond like, oh, yeah, that sounds like fun. And then you find out later, like, I actually don't enjoy reading. Like, what? Then what
It's
are we
what my
doing?
it's what my profile says.
I know. I'm like, that's what books and baseball. That's what I want.
That's
Come at me
it.
with one of those two things. So it's just, yeah, it's wildly different than when I was dating 20 years ago. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
very, very different.
Well, this is it. And I noticed that, well, and again, well, have any of your characters, because the three books I've read, it has not been the case, have any of your romantic liaisons actually happened from online dating?
Um, No, but funnily enough, my like misadventures on Bumble have inspired some story ideas. So coming soon, some app profiles. I did have one character. She's one of my favorites, and it's from my book Worth the Risk, which is like a friends to lovers, but her name is Maddie, and she just hates being on apps. And she's in love with her friend, but he's clueless. So she's like, okay, time to move on from this wonderfully clueless man. And she has some really terrible dates.
Yeah,
Um, those were fun to write as much as they also like angered me. But I'm like, someone out there is this terrible. I know it. And so, yeah, that book has some app stuff in there, but no, yeah, that series I want to write will definitely be meeting on apps because I feel like that's kind of how it is nowadays. You meet on an app and it works out, or
yeah,
you know, happenstance.
yeah.
It feels like organic dating just is harder to come by.
Mm, I know. I must admit, I'm very glad I'm not in the pool. I don't
Yes.
know. I don't know what I'd do, but
Yeah.
I have to because I do think it's funny that. So I feel like I've followed a little bit of Sydney's Bumble dating because on Blue Sky every now and then we get an update, and I did think I did love your story of changing it to friends from
Oh,
romance or
yes.
something, and then
Yeah.
losing the person you were speaking to.
I know. I like accidentally ghosting someone and I never found him. Apologies, Justin. Um, maybe he's listening. But I think, yeah, I felt so bad. And that's another thing. Like, I'm not familiar with this, how this works. And so it's just a whole big learning curve. And I'm like, that's why I'm like, ah, forget it. I'll save it for when I have more bandwidth to figure this stuff out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
as you say, it's going to make for a great story.
yes, it will. It will be, yes, the accidental ghost will be one of my that's definitely one in the series because
Yes.
it's just too funny not to. And, art imitates life
This
so
is
many ways.
it. This is it. Well, and I always tell my kids, yeah, anything that hasn't turned out how you think, or you think it's a bad experience, it does, no matter what it is in life. It makes for a great story afterwards.
Yes.
Even if you're not a writer, it's something great to tell people about.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I put it on Blue Sky. I'm like, this is too good to not share.
Yeah.
This, and I have no shame. So, like, guys, look what I did.
Yeah, I'm a bit like that too. Now, talking about writing, so this is a bit more that writing side of things. Are you a self-publisher or do you have a publisher?
I have two different publishers. The Sunset Cove series, which you've read, is put out by Inkspell
Yep.
Publishing, and then all of my other books are put out by Evernight Publishing.
Right.
Uh, and I was toying with the idea of self-publishing on my own from now on, just because it's like slightly more lucrative.
Yeah.
Uh, but with AI being a thing,
Mm.
and some higher profile self-published authors getting busted using it, like
Oh,
accidentally leaving chat GPT prompts in their final product, which
yeah.
did you not have an editor? Um, but now there's this discourse out there, and I don't think that this is valid, this discourse, but that now self-published authors have lost credibility
Mm.
because the a few rotten apples spoils the bunch. And I'm like, no, I disagree because I still think you can tell the difference
Yeah.
between something written by a person and something written by a computer.
Mm.
Maybe not everyone can, uh, but I have a lot of friends in the self-publishing realm, and I'm like, their work is just as valid.
Yeah.
They're not, if anything, they're just wanting to get their work out there faster than having to submit to publisher after publisher after
Mm.
publisher. And we do all the marketing ourselves anyway. So
Well, that's what I
I,
was wondering because I know that as a self-published author, you have to obviously do all your own marketing, but
Mhm.
the authors that I know who then do have publishers, I'm like, well, they don't really seem to be doing a lot. But one thing I have noticed is that when well, a lot of self-published authors are not allowed to then submit to certain awards.
Mhm.
So it's sort of like they've, these award places are making sure that they keep that little niche there for the published authors.
Yeah, there's some gatekeeping
Mm,
going on with some awards, which I'm like, good writing is good writing,
mm,
right? So let's like, why are we limiting ourselves like that? But I will say my publishers take care of the covers and they do advertise like on their sites and social media. So it's not all on me, but yeah, it's just marketing is such a huge part of it now.
yeah.
Where before you could, you know, have a cabin in the woods and type up your manuscript and mail it off, and no one never knew what you looked like. And
Yes.
it's very
Yeah.
different now.
That's it. You have to get yourself out there. But and well, actually, which is sort of funny as well, because in organizing this with Sydney, I actually said to her, there's not a lot about you on your website. And and actually I wanted to bring this up because I actually just think that this is a common thing for everyone out there. And maybe it's your dating profile, maybe it's a work thing, maybe it's just a female thing as well.
Hmm.
But I'm the same in that I'm great at marketing other people, but I'm not so great at marketing myself. And it was strange to hear that as well from an author who writes, like, you've got all of the words there and you
Hmm.
you put things together. But Sydney said right back to me and said, I'm not very good at marketing myself.
I'm not. I can sing the praises of other authors and, oh, you have to check out her social media. She's the sweetest person. She's nice. Her writing's amazing. Go do this, go do this, go do this. And then when someone asks me about my writing, I'm like, oh, yeah, I write romance. Anyway, let me tell you about this other person. And
Why do we
I
do
think
that?
I don't know. I think part of it is being female and, being kind of told to, take up less space
Mm,
um, in a myriad of ways. I grew up in uh, a family in a religion where it was always drilled into you to be humble, 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 humble.
mm,
And, you're here to serve other people and be a good person to others. And sort of, so sometimes it just gets in your head that, oh, I don't want to talk about myself. That's, selfish. When really you're like, no, I'm just sharing with the world. So I definitely need to be better at marketing.
well, see, I must admit, that's part of why, it's part of why I do what I do, why I do this podcast as well, because, and I always say to people, I don't necessarily want to get bigger for
Hmm.
me. I actually want to get bigger for my guests because I always just think that my guests are so interesting and I want your stories to get to more people
Thank
because
you.
that's what I'm here like that's what I want.
I love that. And I think that there's also a lot of that in sort of the uh, independent author, independent podcaster
Mm.
communities. We're all just, trying to lift each other up.
Yeah.
And I am someone who fully believes in the, rising tide lifts all boats. So let's talk about each other. And if I see someone on Blue Sky who's like, oh, I could really use some more book sales. I'm like, all right, let's go. Let's if I don't have the spare money, then I'll, repost it so that hopefully other people see it. Because like my
Yeah.
platform's not huge, but it's bigger than others. And so I'm like, doesn't hurt,
That's
can only
it.
help.
That's it. It doesn't hurt to lift other people up, does it?
Yeah, it costs nothing. It costs, 2 seconds of time or maybe $4.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, I didn't get a coffee this week because I helped someone else. Like
Yeah.
there's just I think that giving mentality has gotten lost in certain realms or amongst all the noise
Mm.
uh, online.
And one of the ways, and again, we're going to talk about this later, but let's just get into it now. One of the
Yeah.
ways that, especially for, and it's not just authors, it's movie directors, it's really anyone who's got anything online that they're trying
Hmm.
to, a product,
Yes.
even a service. I mean, one of the big things that we were discussing previously as well was people don't necessarily understand the importance of all of these different buttons on social media, and
Hmm.
especially that button that's like comment or review or, you know, to give someone to go back, whether it's Airbnb, whether it's a book, whatever it is, to give someone a review is like, is it manna from God? It's
Yes, it is.
it means so much. And it's one of those things that, I know that I just wanted to pull out as well. So whether it is if you like something, don't just like, repost, write something.
Hmm.
Those few words, even if it's like, I love this. This is great.
Yes. I've mentioned that to people. I'm like, even sometimes rating,
Yeah.
you don't always have to even review, but give it a rating. And like you said, give it however many stars and yeah, loved it.
Hmm.
You don't need to put more than that. I've done that with like Google reviews or just because for like small businesses because it is
Yes.
so important. Do I wish the world worked differently and we didn't need the like algorithm to,
Hmm.
work for us? Absolutely. Um, but it's sort of like this is the system we have, so we have to work with it as best we can and hope that people will take the, 5 minutes to leave a tiny review.
Hmm.
Uh, Unless it's a bad one, then you can just
I know. I know. Well, this is it. So often people, I find, so often people don't think to write something unless it's a bad experience.
Yeah, and then it's like, let me unleash my rage.
That's right.
Uh, so and I have and I'm not saying this is right or wrong, but I have a personal policy of if I would give something a critical review, I don't review it.
Yes.
Because like it didn't reading a book that I didn't enjoy, like I could have stopped reading it, you
Mm,
know, it didn't personally harm me.
yeah,
So, and I didn't like it. That doesn't mean someone else won't.
that's
Uh,
right.
Now, if I think a book is, inappropriately marketed or like, I did read a book that was marketed as a romance, but um, the male character died at the end. Like this, and I still gave it because it was well written.
Yeah.
I still gave it a 4. But I said like this is not a romance. Like this this is like a fiction with a romantic element, but because
Mm.
romances need happily ever afters, well, not the tragic.
That's so interesting because my daughter and I were actually just discussing this because she was saying she had recently watched a movie
Mhm.
and she said it was and I mean she's pretty hard, you know.
Mhm.
She's 14, she doesn't show emotion. And
Yeah.
she said she was watching this movie and they were like at one point, the guy got really, really sick, and they thought, well, he's not going to die because it's a romance. And then at the end of the movie, he died. And they were just sitting there thinking, how could you do this?
She might be talking about a movie based off of the book I was talking about.
Maybe.
So I will not mention the book or the
Let's not
movie,
talk about it.
but
Although, watch
yeah,
out, people.
yeah, just beware.
Now, with that in mind, and in saying this, as I said, Sydney is a contemporary romance author. And one of the things, and it just made me chuckle as well, because I don't know if it was before or after I even read your first book. When I looked you up, I was like, oh, Sydney actually, you even have it on your website that you guarantee a happily ever after.
Yes, guaranteed. Guaranteed.
Well, this is where, and I guess again, maybe this is where we were saying earlier, are we setting people up with these unrealistic expectations in life by having these sort of stories?
That's so I that's such a it's such a good conversation. And I think the answer is yes and no. Like I like it's nuanced because I think that it's good to have standards. It's good to have an ideal version
Hmm.
of what you would want while also acknowledging that that version probably doesn't exist. And are you the ideal version of what that version would want? You know what I mean? Like we
Yes.
like to think of, oh, I would want someone who's, you know, conventionally attractive and fit and all of these different things. And be like, but are we the best versions of ourselves? Like, I'm not saying we have to get plastic surgery or lose weight or anything like that. I am not about that. But just the inner work we talked about. And I think when we do that sort of work and really reflect on what we want and what would be best for us and who would work with us as a couple, then that ideal version looks a little more real. Like
Mm.
maybe like, oh, it would be lovely if someone cooked dinner for me all the time. But then if you think about reality of it, like actually maybe it wouldn't be. Because then we'd have a deal where I always did the dishes.
Yeah.
Like, no thanks. I'll cook every now and then. So I think it just goes back to knowing who we are,
Mm.
knowing what we want, and trying to just be better humans along the way. And one thing I will say about the unrealistic expectations is that because even though romance isn't fantasy in the traditional sense where there's like, I mean, there's fairy romance and stuff like that. But I do think it does present a sort of fantasy
Mm.
in a way. Um, but what I like about that is that once you've finished reading and that fantasy is over, you can re-examine your reality.
Yes.
And maybe what did you really like about that fantasy version of life you just read? What is lacking in your reality that you wish was different? And I just like that it kind of makes you re-examine yourself and your experiences. And like I said, are you being the romantic partner you need to be? And that's another reason why I think it would be very helpful for men
Mm,
to read these books, is because in a lot of romance novels, men are allowed to be soft. They are allowed to express their feelings. They do express their feelings and they're not judged for
yes.
it. And so much of the world right now, at least in the US, is telling men that they need to be harder and tougher and stronger. And we're like, but that's other men telling you what to be. So
Mm.
if you're heterosexual, if you're looking for a female partner, ask a woman. Ask the woman. Like if you're interested in someone, ask her, what do you want from a
Mm,
relationship? And like then you can ask yourself, can I be that for this person? And if not, then we're not a match.
yeah.
Then you move on and you move on. And I think one of the things I'm seeing with even some online dating stuff is people seem less willing to try in many senses. And life is exhausting. I get that. I feel that. But if, someone wants to text you for a couple of days before they meet up, and you're like, nope, I don't text. I've seen that on a lot of profiles. Like, I'm not a texter. Meet up or leave. Like, I'm not
Oh,
interested.
wow.
And be like, and especially again in the US, but women have to think about things that men don't, like safety.
Yeah.
And be like, okay, well, if you don't want to text, are you willing to meet up in like a park and go for a walk?
Yeah.
Or like, no, I want coffee. Like, okay. Like look at your demands. Are they
So wipe them
unreasonable?
off. That's
Yeah.
right.
Are we giving women unrealistic expectations, or are men not rising to the occasion? And
Yeah,
like, and it can be like vice versa.
that's
Uh,
right.
but I know if people say like, oh, the bar is in hell. Be like, not if we let it stay there. Like let's all grab this bar and pull it higher. And
Mm,
I think that's kind of what we're seeing too. A lot of women and men just choosing to be single because they either don't want to try, or the other people around them aren't willing to try. And so they're like, it's just easier to be alone.
mm.
And then everyone's, I don't know, lonely. And I'm like, no, come on, guys, let's get out. Let's get together.
That's right. And as you say, it just doesn't I feel like as well, especially as you get older, maybe people like you don't I know so many people just like you that are like, they just want to you just want someone to hang out with or to,
Hmm.
be able to hug someone every now and then. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that you have to move in together and be married and like, you know,
Yeah.
like go. I feel like a lot of women maybe as well, maybe I'm pretty sure it's probably men too. Maybe they just feel like maybe they've come out of a relationship where they felt very trapped or I don't know, they couldn't sort of find themselves. And then they sort of feel like I'm just going to go back into that if unless I go for someone that is so completely different. But I don't know. I just think there's so much confusion, but I love what you've said there as well about with these stories as well, taking the time to re-examine yourself.
Hmm.
And I wonder how many people actually do that. But it's even made me think, yeah, that's it. What do you like about the characters? What don't you like about the characters? It's it's going to give you maybe a better mirror of yourself as well.
Mhm. And I kind of like taking that. Like I think it was an exercise on Instagram at one point. They're like, uh, take your last 5 books and compile and make your perfect book boyfriend from
Ah.
like the male characters. And so I was trying to think about some of the characters I've written and like, what would I take from each one? Because, none of them are perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And neither are the women. These women are not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but so I think that's not even a bad exercise to do just as you read. Like, what did I like about this? So many times we read for enjoyment,
Mm-hmm.
but we can also um, take a lot from what we read. Even I have referred to my books sometimes as bubblegum romance. Like you chew it up and then, when you're done, you just like spit it out and it doesn't necessarily like stay with you forever,
Yeah.
but it can if you really take the time to examine what you read.
Yeah.
And I think that goes back to the trying, like taking the time, doing the work, thinking about what we want, what we don't want. There's just, and yeah, life's busy, so it's hard to find those pockets of time to do that. But it's, I can say from experience, it's very helpful to take
Yeah.
those moments and self-reflect.
And then to be able to communicate.
Yes. And so, like, I know people hate the miscommunication trope, but it's hard. It's
That's
hard
it.
to share. It's
That's
hard to share
it.
parts of ourselves. That's
Yeah.
why I'm bad at marketing myself, because it's hard. It's hard.
I've got to help you. I'm going to help you get better at that, Sydney.
Yes, thank you.
This is the
I will
first
take
step.
that help.
This is the first step.
Okay.
And then we're going to work on it from there. Now, quick question. So, how do you deal with like you have publishers. So
Mhm.
you've, I presume, gone through that journey of putting your giving your not only giving your work to publishers and then maybe having rejections,
Oh, yeah.
but then I mean, obviously as well having people say that if people don't like your writing, how do you handle it and keep going?
I try to, rejection's always hard,
Mm,
but luckily most publishing houses will offer like constructive criticism sometimes. Sometimes it's just a hard no, no thanks. You're like,
yeah.
well, okay. And I try to keep in mind like I don't like every book, so like whoever read it doesn't like every book, that's fine. And same thing with reader reviews,
Mm,
because I've gotten critical reviews before. And I try to take, if something constructive was offered, I try to take that and actually listen to it because um, people have made valid points before. I'm like, oh, I didn't consider that, or that's true. I might try to take that approach and, change something about it. But at the end of the day, I enjoy writing because I enjoy it. And so I'm gonna just kind of keep doing what I'm doing that brings me that joy.
hmm.
And at some point, listening to too much outside influence, it sort of sucks that joy away. And so there's, yeah, there's valid points to be made. And other times it's just, uh, sometimes, someone wasn't in the mood for your book. And so they're like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't finish it. And you're like, that's not an indictment on my writing necessarily. That just means my book wasn't for them or they didn't feel like finishing it. And that's fine.
Yeah. Oh, I
It's
like it.
allowed.
Well, that's it. And I mean, I presume, like you have to be like that, don't you? Because otherwise you're just going to let everyone, you're going to give everyone else your power.
Yes. And like then you're just a puddle. of like,
Yeah.
I can't write. And
Yeah.
it's yeah.
Now, do you ever have anyone who comes up to you and sort of like says, oh, maybe it's like people in your family or someone from your past or something who's like, oh, you based that person on me, didn't you?
Um, no, not yet. Although there's uh there are a couple where I'm like, are they gonna know? But most of the time, most of my characters are little pieces of me.
Yeah.
And like I kind of sprinkle myself in my books, or in some cases, the type of person I would want to be, like an
Hmm.
ideal version of myself. Like mentioned Sunset Cove, book two, Holly is sort of perpetually like happy. I'm just
Hmm.
like, oh, let's just like look on the bright side. And I wish I had more of that energy. So that's kind of where she came from.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, just so many of my characters have like little bits of me and possibly little bits of other people. But I will say, luckily, no one's been solely based off of an acquaintance
Okay.
yet,
Or so she says.
or so I say. Yes, not an acquaintance or friends, but family definitely.
Well, the family that is in the Sunset Cove series is so beautiful.
Oh, um, I wish I could like the parents are probably like my ideal version of like what parents would be like.
Yeah.
Um, just so like silly and affectionate. Um, and the siblings aren't like personality wise aren't necessarily like my own,
Hmm.
but any sibling relationships I write where they're very close and they share and they're playful, that is definitely based off of my relationship with my siblings. I have
Yeah.
two older sisters and a younger brother, and I have an absolute blast when we get together.
Oh, I
So
love that. I love that because, yeah, well, I love knowing that now. So anyone who's then going to read these books as well, that's so sweet to know because they really
yeah.
are. There is part of me that's like, wow. And I loved actually, although see, I don't want to give anything away. I love the thing about the bedroom.
Oh, the yeah.
Which you'll find out at the end of book two, what I mean.
Yes. Yes. I don't know what brought that up, but I just thought it was so funny. Like, I wanted to, because it seemed like such a Henry thing to think too.
Yes, I know. I know. Now, if anyone who's listening who has not read any of your books before, what book would you tell them to start with?
Mm. I I love them all in different ways, but I will say um, my favorite is Loving the Librarian,
Oh, I'm going to write it down. Loving the
and
Librarian.
it's a third book in a series, and like you
Okay.
can read it standalone. I do that so you can read all my books standalone, but I
Yeah.
will say this book has a lot more payoff if you've read the first two.
Okay. So what's
But
that series called?
Willow Creek,
Okay.
it's like a small southern town in Georgia, US. And it's about three friends who all happen to share the same birthday.
Oh,
And
cool.
they're turning 29, I think, or yeah, or 28. And they decide that this is going to be the year where we're going to challenge ourselves, like professionally and romantically. And uh, so it kind of it all three books take place within the same year.
Yeah.
So it's it's kind of fun. I like it. The first book. Oh, since you brought up the is any character based off of a person? The very first book has a grandmother in it named Mags, and she is based off of my uh, former grandmother-in-law. Her
Yeah.
name's Ellie. I actually dedicated that book to her. She's passed,
Yeah.
but she was just like so full of, like till the end, so full of life and sass. And I just like, I love a sassy grandma character or a sassy grandpa. Um, but so yeah, I loved her. But loving the librarian is just it's still explicit because I wrote it. But it's probably a little more wholesome too,
Yeah.
just because the female character, and I think I said this on another podcast, but the main female character is probably the most like me
Yeah.
that I've ever written somebody. So
Okay.
I've told people, I'm like, if you want to get to know me a little bit, like
Yeah.
read that book. And I am Millie. Like
Yeah.
I am her, she is me, except physically we look very different.
Oh, I can't wait. Well, now that will have to be my next series. And because, well, normally I would be showing the book for anyone who's on
Mhm.
YouTube, but they're all on my Kindle.
Oh, yeah.
Because in the Bahamas, it's really hard to get books and get things shipped in.
Mhm. I believe
So,
it.
yeah, so I actually put everything on my Kindle now, which makes it harder as well because I love making notes and stuff too. But anyway,
Yeah.
um, so I'm going to, yeah, I'm definitely gonna look that one up now. I think for me, Sydney's books they're like a quick little escape. So I think I let Sydney know that the last time I was coming back on a trip on the airplane, I was like, when there's just normally I like reading, I don't know, probably like mystery memoirs, some
Mhm.
self-help, things that are sort of like getting my brain stimulated.
Yeah.
But I just like dreaming and sort of disappearing for a little bit. And it's
Yeah.
like going into it, like you say, like going into a little fantasy world and you know that things are going to end up happy. And it's really, I don't know, for me, some people, maybe that's not their ideal, but for me, I'm like, I feel like a little bit of that right now. And they're nice. They're not like mega long reads, but they're not too short. But I think the first book I read, I think I finished in like 2 days
Yeah.
because I just sort of, then I'm like, okay, but what's going to happen?
I love that. Thank you. And yes, I enjoy, and I started writing like coming out of the pandemic. And
Yeah.
so I think I was like, I need to leave the heaviness of all
Yeah.
that behind. And I love providing a little escape because, you know, no matter what's going on, COVID or not, life can be heavy. And reading my books is basically me inviting you into my head for a few hours because that's kind of what I do if I'm just, staring off into space. People be like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Shh, they're about to get together. Hold on. I'm writing in my head. If there was a way to like communicate to a computer what's in my brain so I didn't
Yeah.
have to spend the like hours writing it out, that'd be perfect.
I do love that. I just think it's very cool. But and okay, now I'm getting close to my time, and I've got a few other things I wanted to ask, but I do have to say,
Okay.
okay. Now, I actually, like I said before, I actually love that they are romance. They're happily ever after, but there's some sex in these books
Yes. I
because, well, I'll let you speak.
Well, I was going to say, I don't think the two are like the two go hand in hand.
That's it.
For especially for me. Like I know some people can say like, oh, sex is just sex, but I'm like, but it's so much better when there's feeling. even if it's like friend feeling or like I care about this other person and even in some random way that's not romantic, but to me it's so much better when there's emotion, it's more sensual and
Mm,
uh it doesn't need to be that for everybody or for every author, but for me that's what I'm like you can't for me, because I've read closed door romance and it's fine. I'm not like sad that I'm like, well, where's the sex?
yeah. Oh,
Uh,
I didn't even know that's what you call it. That's what you call it, is it? Because they close the door and you
y-
don't see that part.
yeah, but mine the door is wide open and I'm like, come on in, take a look see. Uh, but yeah, for me, that's kind of an essential part of a relationship
Mm,
is the sex, and it can be different for different couples. I mentioned that book with the best friends, and
mhm.
their sex was very playful, and like they, like kind of made an accidental joke in the middle of it and started laughing, and like, because that, I mean, that happened. So
Yeah.
it's just, it's kind of fun to explore those like different things. Like how would these two characters express themselves physically?
Mm.
Uh, I don't know. I enjoy writing that
Yeah.
and
Well,
reading it. So
I think that's it as well. And I guess there's part of me that sometimes feels like, I mean, I was going to say maybe it's like this age but I don't think it is even an age thing. I just think that sometimes, and again, maybe this is a clue for men, that some women can be seen to be sort of put in a little box of, oh, you're naive or oh,
mhm.
you're like motherly or you're whatever, you're such a girl next door nice and, you know, but it doesn't mean that you don't like other stuff.
Yes. Think that like yeah, like no matter what book I wrote, at the end of the day, like women are sexual creatures.
Mm,
They enjoy it.
mm,
They are like, yeah, let's do this. And I think that, like you said, women get put into boxes, or also as women, we can maybe accept less in that area. Uh, I've told people, I'm like, don't ask me about the orgasm gap because I will just like go off about how women don't have as many orgasms as men. So apologies if I am like going in a realm you were not expecting. Um, but just yeah, like not accepting less, getting what we deserve. Yeah, women deserve to have pleasure. Women enjoy it. And also another reason for men to read these books is like, you might have to do something different to get someone there,
Very
gentlemen. Um,
true.
it's like, I don't know, like, it's get some ideas. I don't know.
Yeah. No, well, and as you say, it probably works both ways there as well. Maybe this
Yes.
is, might open a door for you in some some of those areas too.
Yeah. I'd say depending on like so many things, how you were raised, the society you're in, if it's
Mm,
more, puritanical or not. Like it's, yeah, so many things. And that's why, and not just romance, but I think that's why reading in general is so important
yeah.
to just open your eyes to other perspectives and other ideas and just, yeah, really find out more about the world and about yourself.
Yeah.
Read.
Read. That's it. That's it. Now, where can people find you? How do they get your books?
How do they get my books? You can go to my website, sydneyscottauthor.com, and all my books are listed there. I'm on Amazon and Kobo and Apple Books, Smashwords. If you want to find me like on social media, I do have an Instagram and Threads and Facebook, but I will say I am on Blue Sky most of the time,
Hmm.
just because there's no algorithm to worry about. but also I just love it. It's such a nice community of people and all sorts of people, not just writers or other creatives, just in general. It's a wonderful little place.
Yeah, it sort of works off. Blue Sky, I like as well because I don't know, it seems to work off hashtags. Like, if you
Yes.
follow, if you, so I follow a lot of, well, I obviously like a lot of poetry hashtags. So I always
Mhm.
then them on mine, and then you end up just getting poetry rather than like, I must admit, like when I was on Twitter, I was, I don't know, you start to just get a lot of weirdos.
Yeah. Yes. Well, and then with Twitter, you're like, is this even a real person
This,
or is this a
yeah,
bot?
yeah,
And I'm sure there's a little of that on Blue Sky too. I have had, people in my DMs where I'm like, you are not real.
yeah.
Like this, like this is a scam. Uh, so no, thank you.
Now, even on Amazon, can say my listeners are in Australia, can they still get your books off Amazon?
Yes, they should be like ebook is available everywhere,
Beautiful.
and I believe print as well in Australia because I do have a reader in Sydney.
Yeah.
So yes.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And again, you read any of Sydney's books, please put a review, put a rating, you know, give some comments.
Yeah,
And
I just even love that knowing people are reading it.
I
So
know,
that's how we know.
that's
Like
right.
book sales are one thing, but I mean, I have books that I haven't read yet.
Hmm.
So, like, let me know you read it. Let me know what you thought. Because I love that.
Yeah.
That's why I put them out there. I could write just for myself, but I put them out there so other people might take something from it or enjoy it for a little bit.
And I was actually thinking about this the other day in regards to a song. I was listening to some songs. I think I asked Alexa for, to play some 60s music. And I was listening to some music and I thought, isn't it just so incredible that when you do something, especially creative, you have no idea the impact it's going to have on people and how long it's going to last out in the world.
Mhm.
And I think that it is such a brave thing as well to put your creativity out there for judgment, for
Mhm.
comment, but hopefully as well for people to understand and enjoy.
Yes, and that's another thing I like about Blue Sky is like you share your poems. A lot of people do, and I've shared some, and maybe people scroll on by, and but maybe someone says this spoke to me,
Mm,
or like, wow, thank you for writing that. It's like you said what I was feeling, and I'm like, that's amazing, and that's what to me that's what social media should be is like connecting people in that way where we sort of see each other
yeah.
and like acknowledge that yeah, you're not the only one feeling this and yeah, it's great stuff.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Sydney. I have so enjoyed speaking to you, and I really
Thank
do. I hope
you.
everyone enjoys reading your books, and I'm very much looking forward to the next five that are coming out as well.
Thank you so much for having me. I had so much fun.
You're
So great.
welcome. Thank you for listening to another episode of Warm Hugs with Suzanne, and I look forward to having you with us for next time as well. Thank you, everyone.